when the weather's good, but today the weather's just alright. And the main thing is Max is definitely still here. Good man, Max.
Fantastic.
Now, I think when it comes to these kind of bands, we've got outrageously good musicians, outrageously good singers. It can either be, meticulous Steely Dan kind of music, or it can be mental Miles Davis sort of, I don't know what key we're in, but I'm going to go with it. Do we have a plan here?
Let's just say on the spectrum we'd be closer to the Miles Davis side of things. but certainly we do have a plan too, and we've been meeting a good bit. Our very first concert that we ended up doing almost by accident was at the Clifton Arts Festival, and it became this. Yeah, it was the last Clifton Arts Festival, and we had a brilliant. We had due to go and we were slightly another band, but we changed one or two members, and it became a stolen chicken gig essentially, and it was a wonderful, as is their wont, a couple of the jazz musicians turned up a little late, and so it was a bit of a seat of the pants, but it worked out. It was really exciting as a result, and we had all worked together in different capacities, so it wasn't a scary situation. We just kind of went with it, and it worked really well.
So Miles would have approved of all that, I think. That if anything, he hates it when it's too definite.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound definite to me.
Absolutely, no, it wasn't definite. But at the same time, this band is mostly about fun. We've all done, and one of the reasons Stolen Chicken came up is we're kind of stealing from a load of different styles, and the idea is that it's gypsy jazz would be the closest that you would, whereas we did an event over in Sitges at a festival in October, and we were fortunate enough that John Sheehan joined us on fiddle.
Right, and the Celtic Connection.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Creative Connections, it's called, and it's a wonderful festival. But he called it Hot Club de Paddy. That was his take on it. So there is a bit of the kind of Django Reinhardt and the Stefan Grappelli kind of stuff. But we're not going down any rabbit holes. It's fun. It's very accessible, and we will also use bring some Irish folk influences in. So all of us are fortunate enough to have kind of worked across a few different genres. So we each bring a different strand to it.
So there is that sort of, the thrill is matched by the fear, really, when you don't really have, you're not just doing dub reggae, you're not just doing thrash metal. This is an open kind of possibilities all the time, and it's like you've got many strokes you could put in this painting. That's kind of both thrilling and frightening.
Yeah, it's probably more frightening for me. The other lads are so accomplished, particularly as jazz musicians, that it's just amazing when you just start and we see where it takes us. And to be fair, for some of the more complex pieces, we do have a prepared ending and things like that. But between the middle and the end, we take different routes maybe. And then some of them are just these kind of moments of calm, and we might even take an Irish melody and do a version of it. I know we will do one or two Thomas Moore's melodies, or indeed Miles Drennan, who's playing piano on it, and Richie Buckley, who's on sax, have a beautiful version of I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen, but done as this beautiful jazz standard. So it'll just be beautiful, and we'll come in and out, and we'll bring in textures. So different people take the lead on different songs.
Well, as you've said, now these guys, and we should mention the other guys, Nigel Linden, and there's also is he Derek Dresden or Dresden Derek?
He's Dresden Derek, but everyone the first time people encounter him, they always call him Derek Dresden, but no, it's Dresden Derek, and he's some.
Is that stage name? Is that Ziggy Stardust name? Or is
No, it goes back to his origin. Although maybe he did change it. He's probably been chased by a number of people at this point for taxes and everything else. But no, he came over many years ago from Croatia. Although he still has the accent going strong, but he set up the Cafe Orchestra with Pat Collins, who's passed during the week, and indeed on the album Stolen Chicken, I've been recording an album of original pieces, and Pat Collins had only just recorded 3 or 4 tracks, both on violin and on vocals. So.
It puts a different kind of spin on a piece of music when you realise that's actually the final. Suddenly he's Princess Leia. Suddenly there's that feeling this is actually there's a deeper kind of layer to this than it was intended. And obviously all music's beautiful if it's done well, but this obviously is a more precious now because of classic.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, firstly, it's clearly a privilege to us, but it also gives us, we really have to do him justice. It's really important to do so. Because he had such a wealth of experience, and it was such an honor to have him in the first place, and now we've got to make sure that we do him justice with the rest of the album.
Respect on any crap song, you just throw them off now at this point. 'Cause, it would be disrespectful to put any crap on.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, we'll make sure that there goes. Thank you very much. I'll take a note of that. We'll get rid of the crap ones. But actually, it's funny on the album, and we're not releasing the album yet. So this is actually this performance in the Whale is going to be our very first. Proper concert of it, and we're so excited about that, and from it we think we're going to a lot of things are going to be grown, and we're going to do all these original songs are going to be performed, and there's different songs. There's a song that Drajan wrote, Drajan's guitarist, he wrote it with Richie, and it's called Beijing Swing. It's like, how are we going to make some money? Well, I'll tell you what, do a swing song, but get the Chinese buying, and then we'll be fine.
They just all download for free. They probably already heard it through your phone. They have it already.
I don't know. Well, maybe we might get a few live gigs out there. You never know.
That idea too that I do mention, these are all kind of very well established musicians in the jazz world and session work, and they're therefore capable of just turning left and right at a moment's notice. Whereas you are classically trained, you're a very highly regarded baritone, and that idea then of stepping into a world that would be largely improv led, is that something that's new to you, or is that something you've always flirted with, even when you were studying?
I have always loved it, and I love that about it. It's very different to the classical world in that sense, but I think I've always liked to hone the different sides of the art, if you know what I mean. So when I was in college, I would have done jazz with Nigel, who's playing piano and accordion on this. We had a jazz duo, and we used to do all the clubs in town for a number of years, so that's where I kind of cut my teeth at it, and I love it, and it just gives you a little bit more freedom of expression. But what I did learn from playing with the likes of Richie and Miles, who are so they're the very top echelons of jazz musicians in Ireland, it's about giving space. It's not about just they're not riding roughshod over anything. They really are so considered, and it can just be a note but they don't just play. It's always. I mean, you are a servant to the mood of the song, but the song is the ultimate. You're just the vehicle for the song, and I think you learn that a lot more with jazz.
Well, there have been other sort of versions of this band. I don't know whether it was a moment for you that you realised, this actually does work as a group. We are actually, somewhere different than we would be without each other. And was that, I don't know whether that was Clifton or whether it was the creative, whether it was a moment for you.
Well, certainly we have all worked in ones and twos along the way, and when you do play a gig with someone like Drajan, or with someone like Richie, or with Miles, or with any of these people, you realise the talent that's there, and every time you do one of these performances, you go, we must try and do more. But we're all musicians, so we never have our lives together to get these things going. But as we've done more and more of them, we've realised that actually we're quite compatible, and we love working together. And we've never had a performance where we've worried. It's just been pure joy of music, and that's the really important thing with this. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel with it. We're trying to really enjoy it and go back to what a song means. What? Well, it's long buckles, but we really are trying to, have fun. And what I've learned from, say, the classical world we brought in, and what Richie's learned from playing with Van will come in, or with, we've all had so many different experiences that for all of us it's eye-opening, and it's just a really highly enjoyable thing.
Given how long Richie's played with Van, do you think there's any level of shouting at him that would make him upset. Probably not at this stage. I think he's probably got a great ability to understand that that's not really about me, it's about you.
It's funny you say that because he is so laid back, which means that he's never putting a foot wrong. Because when he plays something, he means it, and it's always very natural. It's not born out of necessity or anxiousness or we better save this thing.
Right.
He can save it without even thinking. Is the point, and it's the thing with Miles is the same. You know, he cut his teeth like a blue Stewart, and he is such a wealth, and he's really. Well, he is massively highly thought of, but he's a world-class musician, you know. And when you're in front of these guys, and when you're with them, and you're performing as a group, it's the most pleasurable thing in the world.
Sure,
it really is.
Now, given that like me, you're an attractive man. You've got incredible
Thank you very much.
Me too.
Thank you.
That potential to be, you know, a Josh Groban or a Russell Watson, all that is obviously there. I don't know whether part of you sort of feels, well, I better make sure I kind of keep that career going as well, because it's obviously a very strong one from what I can gather online. I mean, is this like a lost weekend, or is this something that you feel, well, it's a needed thing to be able to express yourself in other ways?
I would call the moments where you're thinking of it as a living, or where you're thinking about say making money out of it. They're the lost moments. You have a certain amount of time on the planet, and this is anything but the lost moment. This is the found moment. So I wouldn't. Anyone who can make a living at this is doing extremely well. But it's an honour, even from time to time, to just be doing it for the music and the fun of the music, and it's nothing to do with commerciality. I've wrecked your head by not. You go, there's nothing online. And the funny thing is, for every single person in the group, only recently, because I'd done something over in Asia, and they said you don't even have a Facebook. So now I'm the one person in the group who even has a Facebook, and it's a great way, in a way, to make a living, because you're having these experiences without the pressures. The pressures of success. but you know what I mean, where there is nothing. You can explore everything else, and no one has a preconceived idea of what or who you are. And while that can be a little bit jack of all trades, I find that you're learning and you're giving in equal measure in any of these situations.
I'm being a little bit undercover. I mean, Bowie recognised that, I think, in the last 10 years of his life. There's too much out there already. The idea you're going to try and just add to the noise beyond the music is not necessary. It's better that people aren't really sure who you are and what's going on, and then the music just takes on an almost mythical kind of sense of it's now the music and that's it. You know?
And it's something that people have had to refine, is the fact that there's no sales of records, and these kind of things have gone so far down that it is about the live performance. And for us, it always has been. We've been ambling through for the last number of years, just performing, and we all perform live. We're lucky enough that we perform live a number of times a week, and so you're always learning, you're always performing. And the other side, the sales, the things like that, that's not why you went into music. And I'm not being kind of naive and saying, of course, there have to be times where you think of your bills or your rent or those kind of things. But ultimately, you went into this because it was a passion, and there's a vocational element, if I can say that. Although not for us, because we actually enjoy every moment, and it's never that difficult when you're working with friends, you know. Your dog's been stolen there.
I see him.
No, don't worry, I've got my eye on him.
Now there's two things. Firstly, I studied with Johnny Wadham for years as a drummer, and it's just the whole world of jazz fascinates me. But then there was that sort of crossover fusion thing, which can suddenly be Spyro Gyra and be, these kind of Shack Attack and all that, where suddenly it's music for people with fedoras. You feel, oh, this is different than what I hopefully was going to get to. And that's always a danger too, that it becomes kind of arch.
Intellectually kind of. No, this is certainly, I would say this is almost not the opposite of it, but that does not.
There's a few thick people in the band, that helps it keeps you grounded.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the ticko. There is no question, and actually it was funny, I was talking to guys a little earlier, and our main thing, the reason we get on so well together, and he has written a lot of the pieces for this, and it really is kind of the genesis of this particular project. Is that we love playing the music, and we don't overplay our hand. Like we know people are there to have a good fun night out, and yes, you can have a little clever moment, but we don't get lost down any rabbit holes at all. And yes, there are some firework moments. There are the Django Reinhardt kind of moments, and where the talent of the musicians can be seen. But as I said at the beginning, we are ultimately serving the song as opposed to trying to find anything new in it. The idea of this band, if we had to say it in one word or one sentence, would be it's a bunch of good musicians having fun with music, and each taking. I mean, this whole stolen chicken thing is we're stealing something from everywhere. We really are, and so it's going to be fun.
What surprises me too is that here's as I said, it's an incredible lineup of people that I've known of for many decades really, and they're all great musicians. But we should warn people, there is a guy called Nigel who plays the piano accordion.
Yeah.
It is said that a gentleman is a man who knows how to play the piano accordion, but doesn't.
But chooses not to. Yeah.
But when you're in the cafe kind of world, so it does lend itself.
Yeah, well, I tell you, there is that kind of French Parisian element to a piano accordion, but more than that, Nigel, when we bring in the folk element of it, it's beautiful to have it too. It's quite cross genre, but he actually plays it like it's a jazz piano. He's amazing the way he plays it, and actually, as it happens, Miles is also one of our foremost drummers. So there will be an occasion when Nigel jumps onto the piano and Miles goes onto the drums. They'll be fighting all evening to see who gets the piano. But like that's part of the kind of fun of it as well. And Miles and Nigel have totally different styles, but are just both. But they're both absolutely unique. Absolutely talented. So Nigel will put down that piano accordion for anyone worried about that.
Now I should just wrap up. The name, when I did go googling it, the first thing that came up was, I think it was from Gambia. It was a sketch show, a TV comedy sketch show. I'm guessing that's not where you got the name. It does pop up in a few different places as a word, as a phrase.
Yeah, well, you're getting a world exclusive here, I suppose, in that. And the name comes from a number of years ago. Dragan and Oleg Pomanarov, who was also in Stolen Chicken, but isn't doing this performance, unfortunately. They were in a band. Oleg was in that band, Loiko. He's an amazing gypsy violinist.
Right.
But they were traveling in France in this group of three, and they were invited to a dignitary's house, and they said, we'd like to cook something authentic for you. And Oleg said, well, I have a recipe. It's an old recipe, and it's called stolen chicken. And and the ingredients were all listed, and there were an amazing bunch of ingredients. But one of the ingredients was a stolen chicken, because that's the only way you're going to get a chicken in the olden days was to steal one. And so they went to the house, and the dinner came out, and it was awful, and there was apologies thrown around. And I said, did you follow it exactly? He goes, yes, I got the finest ingredients in the land. He goes, okay, and where did you get the chicken? He goes, oh, we bought it down, but it was a very good supplier, reputable supplier. He went, you're supposed to steal the chicken. So stolen chicken became this thing that they used to joke about. Yeah, it tasted awful because you didn't steal the chicken. So it's and for us as well, because we're stealing from so many different styles and everything else. This is our thing, but it's about fun as well, and it'll be pretty eclectic. Let's just say there's a lot of stuff stolen and that'll be going in.
Now we should just wrap up by saying Saturday the 1st of February, the Whale, we'll have a link for the tickets and all that. But as much as the album will be dedicated to, I think the night itself would probably, I'm sure, be a kind of remembrance too for the great Pat Collins. It was somebody that you knew well. I don't know whether that was your kind of first time recording with him.
It was my first time recording with him, absolutely. Himself and particularly Dragan, they had an amazing cafe orchestra, and I suppose this was an evolution of that in many ways, which is why we so wanted him to be part of it. And so I personally hadn't worked very often with him, but the other members of the band, all of them had in different iterations, as I say, and Dragan was a very close friend and collaborator. So, as I say, we would certainly be dedicating the album and the evening to Pat. a great light has gone out.
Okay, beautiful.